Some say the anti-corruption fight of President Buhari is one-sided. Do you support that claim?
Yes, I could say that. On the other hand, but what I do know is this.
Yes, you could say that.
Yes, yes,
okay.
I could say that in the sense that I would have been happier if the fight against corruption is broad-based, that is caused across the entire spectrum of people, politically exposed people. For instance, governors of the PDP are more, seem to have been taken on more than the governors of the APC. That is one side. Again, if you also look at it, it does appear that when some persons cross over, they seem to be forgiven. But put that aside, because the law is not respecter of persons. I do believe that the fight against corruption has been more vigorous. Well, you could say, some people argue that it is more of conviction before, how would I put it? That
conviction before trial?
Before trial, and that they try to intimidate persons and all whatnot. The important thing is that my advice is that prosecution should be more vigorous. You should be sure that you are going to get a conviction in the court before you pick people up or charge them to court. Because in the process, where most times you pick people up, you charge them to court, and then you are not able to prove what the charges are all about, and then the court set them free, then it creates a big problem.
Okay.
They have to be more vigorous. They have to be sure of what they are talking about. You see, and then not just that. You see, the law is very technical. You could have a very good case, but if you don't prosecute it very well, you lose the case. You can catch somebody. You might be able to catch somebody with a huge source of money, but you are not able to attach the person to the money. And when you get it to the court can set the person free. So diligence in prosecution, vigorous prosecution is very, very necessary. So that you are not saying as if you are just witch hunting people. That is very important.
Okay, well, President Muhammad Buhari has said countless times that he is not in favor of anybody. It doesn't matter which political divide you belong to. If there's a case against you,
you will prosecute it.
You know, we even have several cases. For instance, the asset declaration case against the Senate president. There are several cases like that.
Yes.
You know, are you sounding this way because you belong to the other camp?
No. You see, the truth of the matter is this. Personally, I believe, and I truly believe so, that any person, because I'm a soldier of truth, any person who is found or who is suspected to have been found to have dipped his hand in the nation's cake should be prosecuted. That is no matter the party you belong to, whether PDP, APC, or any party at all. And that is our belief in the party. We are not going to cover anybody, any party member. But the rule of law must be adequately and properly followed in such prosecution. That's what the PDP is saying. You arrest somebody, if the court says grant the person bail, grant him bail. You take somebody to court, the court gives an order, obey court order. Once you are able to do this, in fact, the international community, Nigerians, everybody will be happy with you. And that is all we are pleading with the authorities. Follow the rule of law in prosecuting whoever is so.
Let's go back to the economy now. The budget has been passed. It's finally before the acting president, 7.44 trillion naira.
Yes.
And the National Assembly has made its 125 billion naira budget public for the first time.
Yes.
What do you make of this? Do you think the figures are enough, or maybe some more needs to be added in certain sectors?
Year after year, if you look at the quantum of the naira, it's very deceptive. If you look at the current value of the naira vis-a-vis what it was in the 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the value of the budget is very low. It's less than 20 billion. So that tells you that there will be serious difficulty. A PDP government would have looked for ways to improve and increase spending. Because in a depressed economy, if you do not reflect it, you will not get out of.
When you say improve and increase spending, recurrent or capital?
Both. Either way, especially, in fact, the target should be infrastructural spending, which is capital. Because if you do not put adequate infrastructure in place, you will not create the jobs. If you create the jobs, you cannot manage them. You need to do proper railway, you need power, you need roads, and these are the places that you should concentrate on. Apart from that, education should be top priority, because if you educate the populace, then you give power to the people. And remind you, that is our slogan, power to the people. Anything that will give power to the populace is what we stand by. That is why you see today that there is the crisis, or whatever you call it in the PDP, is about we returning power to the people. That is why we are very, very vehement in putting the crisis in the PDP. That's why we are very vehement and very serious about settling the problems in the PDP, so that we can get together and return power to the people.
Okay, before 2019, when the PDP will have another chance to try out to find out what its fate is with the electorate. A few more years for the Buhari's first term in office. What are your expectations of this government?
Well, one, I expect Mr. President, because I do know that the international community that are watching, to man and mark INEC properly, so that they can deliver an election that is second to none, that is better than the last one. Because INEC must improve. If the card readers are properly fixed, it could help. Because, for instance, there was an election in Delta State some few days ago. In that election, in a constituency where normally we bring up 80,000 votes, only 7,000 people voted. My very good friend, Fayoshe, was discussing that election. In that election, the PDP fielded a candidate. The APC fielded a candidate. Another party, Accord, fielded a candidate. The governor of my state supported that party, Accord. On the day of the election, there are about 20 polling units in that particular election. A commissioner manned a polling unit, and the commissioner had 20,000 per vote. If they give you 20,000, you go and vote. That was what that other party was paying. APC was paying 10,000. PDP said, look, we are not going to corrupt the system. We will not take part in buying and selling of votes. Now, this is a very big challenge for the INEC. If votes for money is not stopped, if, like the PDP has said, look, we are going to show live by good example. If votes for money, if it's not stopped, there will be no election. In fact, democracy will be killed in Nigeria. Outside the elections. Now, outside the elections, too, we expect...
In less than a minute.
Yes, we expect the government to put more action on infrastructure. The roads are getting terribly bad. Now, the railway, the Minister of Railway, the Minister of Transport is doing quite a lot on issue of railway. He needs to speed it up so that they can get more results. However, I cannot tell you more so that they don't steal our points, because we're also waiting. Because we have our own secret that we're going to tell the populace so that they can vote for us in 2019. All
right. Thank you very much, Dr. Cairo Ojugbo, for joining us on the program. Well, that's our show tonight. Thank you very much for being great company. I'm Imana Amawe. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.